Imagine transforming your small agency into a massive agency powerhouse and being able to do this within a really short space of time. I'm going to tell you how you can merge with other agencies and do what's called a roll up so that you can grow your business overnight into 4 or 5 times bigger than it currently is. We'll explore these strategic mergers so we can help you achieve these types of incredible growth that we only really see private equity companies or private equity backed agencies being able to do. So my name's Andy Day. I'm the founder and CEO of agencies.co. And we're in a really exciting time for strategic mergers for agency owners. So we're going to dive deep into this idea of merging your agency with other agencies. Now, I always believe that democracy is a difficult thing, and particularly in business. So I think that there should always be one agency in charge. What we don't want to do is get this concept of 5 companies all merging and it being fairly distributed. There always needs to be a leader in any situation, and there needs to be one company that acquires these other agencies and merges them into them. But you can do this with very little upfront cash. Now, I believe that you do need some access to capital to be able to do this. I mean, it may be that you need to speak to investors if you don't have any cash in the business, but tons of agency owners that I speak to, they do have this, sort of small reserves of capital in the business, and they don't want to take it out because they don't want to be taxed. So this is like the perfect situation. Now, this idea came to me because I sent out an email to all of our users on our mailing list for agencies.co, and I asked them what kind of content they wanted. And kindly, Dennis, one of our newsletter subscribers, got back to me and shared this idea of why don't I talk about this sort of idea of merging in more detail. So this isn't just a theory. There are funds and businesses that actively engage in this type of strategy. And if you think about all of the massive businesses that you've ever heard of, Google or Facebook or Apple, Tesla, these companies were all acquirers or have been acquired. Tesla in particular was invested into by Elon Musk. But Google, they acquired YouTube. Facebook acquired Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the one way. It's like a secret weapon that's hidden from most business owners, but it's right in front of you. And I'm really encouraging you now to read and dig deep into M&A so you can work out how you can grow super fast in a really short space of time. Now, this one particular idea of merging with other agencies, like I said, I think realistically, you need to have a leader. And if it's your idea to do this and contact other agency owners about this idea, then I think that you need to try and get a small amount of money to invest into those companies as you merge into them. So give the owner some money off the table, some value off the table, and then merge the companies together. So a small token is what I'm talking about. So not a huge amount of money, and then merge the companies together. And then the idea really is to exit together in sort of a 1 to 3 year window, really. And this is a strategy that private equity uses. So why it's a good idea is because you can increase everybody's EBITDA by sharing resources across the businesses. So things where there is duplication, like HR, for instance, invoicing, tech platforms that maybe the tech stack that maybe you're using across the businesses, these can all be sort of shared, and you can instead of where somebody's using Slack, somebody else is using Google Messenger or whatever, you can just use one stack and save a ton of money. Not only that, but you can offer each other services as well across your own client base, and that increases the value for everybody that's in the business. The more revenue that you're booking, the bigger the profit margins, the more you're going to go for as a business when it comes time to exit. Also, instead of being a pissy little local or small agency, even if you're based in one of the major cities, which is a real advantage to you, you can get these capabilities from other cities, companies that are located in other cities or other regions, and you can improve the offer to your clients. But not only that, instead of being seen as a small business, by brands or potential clients, if you've got a revenue of 10 million, for instance, versus a revenue of 2 million, you're going to be able to win bigger contracts. So, and not only that, the fact that you're bigger, but also your presence across, say, the whole of the US or across European capital cities, it is bigger. And so you become better known. Actually, just announcing the fact that you've done the strategic merger or acquisition will get you onto the next sort of level in terms of presence. Not only that, but you're pooling the management resources across these businesses as well. So instead of being maybe what up until now has been a solo entrepreneur gig, you actually will have a team. And amongst that team of agency owners, there'll be different strengths and weaknesses. So you want to pull those strengths across the businesses and create a tier of management team above the agencies as well. And as I said, this is something that's going to create a huge amount of value across all of these businesses. It's something that we call multiple arbitrage, where instead of being worth 4 or 5 or 6 times multiples for just being a really great small agency with less than 1 million EBITDA. If you have 5 agencies that are doing 5 million EBITDA or 3 to 5 million EBITDA together, then combined, these businesses will be worth maybe a 7 or an 8 or a 9 times multiple. And this is the strategy that private equity is using to roll up smaller agencies and then sell the whole business for much more. So how do you go about getting this type of deal done? Well, the first thing you need to do is find other agency owners. And I've got a course that shows you how to do M&A. So I don't want to double up on a ton of content that I've already got there. You can find that at Done With You M&A or dwymna.com, where I go into more detail about how to do this and how to do the send outs. But basically what you want to do is you want to contact thousands or at least 1,000 agency owners that you don't necessarily know yet. The biggest mistake is going to be contacting like 4 friends and hoping that you can do it and getting like one person interested and it putting you off doing this idea, because you really need to reach out and see this as a numbers game. So contact 1,000 agencies, you'll probably get replies from 100. And once you start sifting through those and seeing the agencies that are a really, really great match, you might have 10, 15, 20 really good conversations potentially available in there. So then you've got to have these one-on-one conversations. You've got to see whether, there's chemistry. That's the number one thing, is like chemistry between the two people. So you and the other agency owner, not just that, but also whether there's a fit, a cultural fit between the businesses as well. What you don't want is, maybe somebody that just has banking or finance clients where everybody's super serious and wears suits to work, and you guys, maybe you're super creative. You only really do, big creative brand productions or content creation or whatever, and the two just don't match up. So you've got to work your way through all of that, make sure that there's a culture fit, make sure that there's chemistry, and then you can start to develop this joint vision with these other owners about what it is that you're going to create and collaborate on and build together. And that big vision, actually, that big grand vision, is the thing that's going to hook people in. So, if you can have as many of these conversations as possible, maybe some of the first conversations won't go as well, because you're still trying to get that straight in your head, what it could be. But once you've tested this in the market, then people will really get back to you, and you can start to finesse what it is that you're offering these other agency owners. Then you've got to figure out the structure of the deal. So you've got to work with a lawyer to figure out what the contract's going to look like, or maybe you can even get these bog standard. I mean, there isn't a huge amount that goes into these that is different in every single merger and acquisition, but you need to create the structure of the business and then the structure of those contracts, the mergers and the deals that you're actually doing. What I would like to see is, if I was going to do this, I would have a holding company above the top. Everybody that comes into the business takes shares in the operating company that's below that. And maybe they don't even sell their own businesses. Those businesses maintain the shareholdings in the operating company, and you just buy the assets out of those businesses that are in the operating company, and then create clean new companies underneath that then operate each company P&L, which reports back into the operating company. That holding company above is where your shares sit. Right, that's what I would do if I was going to do it. But anyway, you need to figure out what the best structure is going to be for the business, and then have these conversations, get an offer on the table that everybody can agree to, whether that's buying 5 or 10% of the business and merging the shares into the top co. And the way you would think about that is every company needs to be valued pretty much the same. Maybe you could have slightly better multiples for the larger companies, slightly smaller multiples for the smaller companies. But your aim is to get to 3 to 5 million in EBITDA by merging everybody together. And then together you're going to be worth at the top end of single digits or the bottom end of double digits, depending on what the quality of the businesses are. But as you can see, these sort of roll up ideas that the private equity companies execute can create huge amounts of value. So hopefully I've given you something to think about. And then there is going to be issues. There's going to be, cultural differences that you didn't realize at the start. So you've got to really invest some time once you've made the acquisition or you've done the merger into integrating the businesses, integrating the people, integrating the management. There's going to be some clashes where you're going to have two big personalities maybe in the business, and you're going to have to work out and figure out how to overcome all of this stuff, and then how it's going to work on each business's P&L when new business comes in, or when you're sharing leads across the business. You've got to figure all of this stuff out and make sure that it's fairly distributed across all of the businesses. And then, of course, that operational integration that I talked about at the start, where you're integrating people's businesses, people's back ends, so you can save money on everybody's P&L as well. Okay, so that's it. That's the big idea for this week. As you can see, these strategic mergers are a real game changer for small agencies who are looking to grow. And maybe you've hit that ceiling so many times and you're thinking, shit, I just can't get over this hump and create something truly valuable. I don't want to exit yet because I'm only worth a 3 or 4 times multiple, which you should never sell for 3x, by the way, unless you're absolutely desperate to get out of the business. But these are the sorts of things that you can do to create true value and a massive exit for everybody that's involved. So if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below or send on an email to me. My name's Andy Day. I'm the founder of agencies.co, the CEO of Capital A Group. And yeah, make sure you like or follow and subscribe.